Hello, this is Farrell Vincent with Nation 473. And I wanted to come to you guys with all of the drama of this particular round of Duel of Dominance. We are up against 465's GOD. It doesn't look close right now, but we're going to talk about the game state because it's been back and forth all day. And you know, it's a nail biter. This one's going to come down to the wire, and so I wanted to set the scene, and then of course when this video eventually does go live, I will make sure to post the final score in the description of this video, so that way you guys know how it ends. Or I might leave it as a comment. I haven't decided yet. But anyways, long story short, we'll talk about it. But I wanted to go through the battles because it is bloody. So to start with, we've used way more attackers than they have, right? We're at 44 attackers, and they're at 33, so they have currently 27 more people that can attack us. There's a but coming, right? But they are out some of their stronger cities, most specifically Sachi, who is their strongest city by far. And we still have some troops left on Champ. We still have AKE left. We still have, a little bit left on a couple of our other decent cities, right? Litrax still has some troops. Tyke is going now. Saber still has some troops. So we have some that we can play with, right? The reason why this is so back and forth right now is just because, we have found Sachi, so we know where Sachi is, and we'll just throw his stats on screen so you guys can understand that this dude is not playing around. He is strong. Definitely not the strongest, city in the entire game or anything, but he's strong. Like, that's, even for those cities, right? Like, this guy's not a joke. And the other thing that we have done is we've actually taken out all of their other big cities. So they currently don't have any other large cities left in their alliance, because all of their 1,000+ cities are dead at this point. So we only have, kind of these smaller 800, 900 LRA cities left to really kind of come in here and just walk through. So it's only a matter of time before we end up catching up the game state. So the reason why this is all drama comes down to who's left and where. So we know for a fact that we have Sachi right here. It's not scouted, but we know he's here. So that means that there is a tile behind him that is going to be a kind of a big point tile. We're assuming it's going to be another orange. And then there's probably going to be an orange here and an orange there. When you start talking about, all of these other game states down here, these are all going to be blues and greens, but we need all the points we can get in order to pass them. And the reason being is because Champ is here. So we have Champ sitting right on that purple. So the game state is almost directly equal, right? There are currently three different oranges behind Champ. There are 3 different oranges behind Sachi. So when we have everything equal, it comes down to who got a little bit further, and so we've got an extra tile here and 1 tile there. So Champ and I are literally holding the line. If we go down, then we can't win. Mathematically, we will be out as long as they use less attackers than we did, right? Now, if they use all 60 attackers to get there, then we would still win because we used less, because we're not going to have to max out everyone in order to get to that game state. Although we still might make a go at Sachi, so more to come. So yeah, right now it's Champ and his Ultra Shield versus Sachi for this game state. And it's going to be a nail biter, right? The main reason I wanted to make this video was to kind of set up the scene, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of battle reports. Because, you know, when it comes down to trying to make sure that you have the ability to, you know, bomb cities, right? When you start bombing them, you need to know kind of a better fleet in order to do some of these suicide runs, basically. Because, you know, I'm going to use the suicide runs that we had on, actually not him, we're going to go back a little bit further. I want to use some suicide runs to kind of talk to you guys about, well, what's a better fleet for suiciding, right? So we have this series, and this is Discovery, so we didn't know he was there when Turtle went in, and Turtle was already damaged. So this is how we found him, right? This is Discovery, this particular city. His stats are like 1200 LRA, you know, 1000 melee hit points. He's got insanely high increases damage on his long range. He's got good melee, right? Decent stats here. Really good zombie attack. And I know for a fact this guy has some beastly titans. Right? Level 36, level 35. These are some strong titans, level 33 warplane. And I believe he has a purple? Yeah, purple warplane. So, dude's strong. So we decided to chip him down because Champ was stuck in that node and we had to deal with him. We couldn't just bypass him. We had to deal with the problem. So what does that problem look like? Well, we have a few different fleets. The big thing that you need to know is how this buff works. So poisonous gas attack. It's when attacking in dual dominance. In this battle, 2.5% of the enemy troops will die every second for the first 10 seconds of battle. Takes effect one time. It's 25% of the enemy's troops in the first 10 seconds. That means you need to last at least 10 seconds. And when you have people with these kinds of stats, where they're a little bit lower, right? And, you know, I know for a fact this guy's a strong warrior, don't get me wrong, he's just doesn't spend. And that's okay. He's doing his job. Because what you end up doing is you have to have a fleet where these targets, or this particular, you know, unit has to switch targets the most. So when you look at this fleet, you can see, okay, we're approaching first target, second target, it's still there, and it's just now starting to walk, so that gives you a 13-second battle. Whereas if you only had a couple of targets, he shoots the first one, shoots the second one, shoots the third one, kills the two things, it's an 8-second or 7-second battle. And I wanted to show this off because this is a good fleet for it, and you know, this one didn't hold up as strongly, and the reason being is when you watch. Okay, so we have one target, two target, and they're already walking. It's 10 seconds, we still got to 11, but we just didn't quite get as much. You'll also see that in the actual damage output. Not quite as much. And the reason being is less target switching. So these units, these T10 EMP cannons, couldn't really do as much work, and these, you know, 196 uranium cannons couldn't do as much work. Like the uranium cannons didn't even get a kill on this particular city, whereas the previous one with slightly lower stats did, and that's just because of having that extra time on that first set of units, right? And so you'll see here, T11s, they actually got kills on this one, and they didn't do, I mean, terrible. That's 52,000 extra troops that are dead, right? Same thing here, right? So Pine has, you know, a little bit lower stats, but he's also using, of course, the T10s, so he doesn't even have the T11s. But he's using a fleet with a lower troop type, right? And most of these didn't get kills, but we did manage to get some kills onto the EOP cannons, onto the female Titan. The male Titan doesn't look like he managed to break through any shields. And you'll see it in this battle report, right? We lasted 11 seconds. So 2 different fights, both 11 seconds. The main difference, of course, unit type matters. Had we been able to get to that 12-second mark, that second set of cannon shots would have gone off, which is what did all that damage for Spartan, and why he was able to whittle him down. And then just because we're here, Champ decided enough is enough, we're going to electric fence this dude. And so he gets to stand there while Champ smacks the heck out of him. And yeah, you'll see that the electric fence is kind of broken. There's a reason why it costs what it does. But, he got destroyed at this point. So it was kind of a no contest from this point forward. So yeah, that's again game state. So the big thing to take away is target switching matters, right? So make sure that if your job is to suicide, I would recommend a fleet where you have, about 10 to 15% of your total fleet in the front row, but make sure you split it out between all 4 types. That way you have the most amount of targets that need to be dealt with, especially if you're like the second or third suicide end, because by that point you've gotten rid of all of the other extraneous units. They only have 1 damage type unit, and that 1 damage type unit is going to do 90 bajillion damage or whatever it is to 1 unit at a time, which takes longer. So that's kind of why you want that, is the damage doesn't change when there's only 1 unit dealing it. So if you have 4 different units that they have to take out, it takes 4 times as long as if you only had 1. That's the game. That's why we do it. So yeah, wish us luck. If we manage to win, it will be a little bit of an upset, right? This alliance is very strong. They are stronger than us. They have, some scary people left, right? Because, that one guy that I just showed off on screen, he's not even on here yet. So he could possibly get revenge on Champ. I don't think I could take him. Maybe after Champ maims him I could. It's hard to say. But, they have a handful of people that could actually beat me. So it'd be interesting to see, where the game state ends up at the very end. Who wins, right? Does Champ win or does Sachi win? Because this is really Champ versus Sachi at this point. The rest of us are all just along for the ride. So, if you like this kind of content, please, of course, comment down below. Let me know how it is. As always, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. And I'll see you on the next one.